This article refers to the history of Abkhazia from its prehistoric settlement by the Lower Paleolithic hunter-gatherers during the Mesolithic and Neolithic periods to the post-1992-1993 war situation 2010-4 season. Prehistoric settlement. Lower Paleolithic hunting-gathering encampments formed the first known settlements on the territory of modern-day Abkhazia. The earliest examples have been unearthed at the sites of Iashkhtva, Gumista, Kelasuri, and Ochamchire. Upper Paleolithic culture settled chiefly the coastline. Mesolithic and Neolithic periods brought larger permanent settlements, and marked the beginning of farming, animal husbandry, and the production of ceramics. The earliest artifacts of megalithic culture appeared in the early 3rd millennium BC, and continued into the Bronze Age as the so-called dolmens of Abkhazia, typically consisting of 4 upright mass stones and a capstone, some of them weighing as much as 50 tons. A dolmen from the Eshera archaeological site is the best studied prehistoric monument of this type. The late Bronze Age saw the development of more advanced bronze implements, and continued into the Iron Age as a part of the Colchian culture circa 1200 to 600 BCE, which covered most of what is now western Georgia and part of northeastern Anatolia. Abkhazia in antiquity. The written history of Abkhazia largely begins with the coming of the Milesian Greeks to the coastal Colchis in the 6th-5th centuries BC. They founded their maritime colonies along the eastern shore of the Black Sea, with Dioscurus being one of the most important principal centers of trade. This city, said to be so named for the Dioscuri, the twins Castor and Pollux of classical mythology, is presumed to have subsequently developed into the modern-day Sukhumi. Other notable colonies were Janus, Triglytis, and later Patas, arguably near the modern-day coastal towns of Ochamchire, Gagra, and Pitsunda, respectively. The peoples of the region were notable for their number and variety, as classical sources testify. Herodotus, Strabo, and Pliny appreciate the multitude of languages spoken in Dioscurus and other towns. The mountainous terrain tended to separate and isolate local peoples from one another, and encourage the development of dozens of separate languages and dialects, complicating the ethnic makeup of the region. Even the most well-informed contemporary authors are very confused when naming and locating these peoples, and provide only very limited information about the geography and population of the hinterland. Furthermore, some classic ethnic names were presumably collective terms, and suppose considerable migrations also took place around the region. Various attempts have been made to identify these peoples with the ethnic terms employed by classical authors. Some scholars identify Pliny the Elder's Apsali of the 1st century and Arian's Abasgoy of the 2nd century with the probable Proto-Abkhaz and Abaza speakers respectively, while others consider them Proto-Kartvelian tribal designations. The identity and origin of other peoples, for instance, Hiniachi, Sanigi dwelling in the area, are also disputed. Archaeology has seldom been able to make strong connections between the remains of material culture and the opaque names of peoples mentioned by classical writers. Thus, controversies still continue, and a series of questions remain open.